What's going on, guys? This is Lior and welcome back to my channel. Now, what I thought I would do in this video is talk about how if you're looking to break into your first development or kind of like fix and flip or, sort of larger construction project, I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts and tips on how I would go about it. I'll tell you how I did it at first, way back like 6-7 years ago now, and how I would think about doing it today. So with that, let's get at it. What's going on, guys? My name is Lior and welcome back to my channel. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, two super quick things, guys. Number one, if this is your first time on my channel, first of all, welcome. Second of all, make sure you smash that subscribe button. I'm still putting out content every single week on this channel, ranging from videos of my sites to my thoughts on construction, development, investing, multifamily, and literally everything in between. So, if that's the kind of content you're looking for, make sure you subscribe. So let's get right into the meat and potatoes. And as I said, what I wanted to do was talk about how I would think about finding your first development or kind of construction deal if I were brand new. And as I said, before I give you my tips, let me tell you the story of how I did it so you guys can kind of have a comp of, what I did. So when I was looking to first break into my first development deal, this was 2018 at this point. I think 2017 actually. And my only experience to date, I had just closed on a owner-occupied, 5% down FHA loan on a 3-family, in a property in Everett, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. At that point, I kind of got interested in development. So what I did was I went to a bunch of networking events and I talked to a bunch of different developers, right? Just kind of tried to talk to them, see what they're doing, and eventually got introduced to one person that was doing a lot of gut rehab, condo conversions in a particular part of the city in East Boston. So I ended up talking with the guy, and kind of the deal we came to was, hey, happy to, I can basically partner up with him. I would obviously have to be the one to find the deal, kind of do all the legwork, but he would come in and then run the project. I would only get a small percentage of the equity because, he would be the experienced person, but I would get to learn alongside him on my first deal. So I got to work and I tried to hit every single channel in terms of finding a deal, right? So I ended up cold calling, I ended up sending mailers, door knocking, and this was a process over many months. And eventually one of my cold calls worked, and we were able to find a site in Boston that was perfect for a gut rehab. So I brought the developer in, he kind of helped me tighten up the assumptions, and we were able to put the deal together. Now, in addition to finding the deal, the other thing I did too was go and raise private money for the deal, right? Because the way we structured it, very similarly the way I structure my deals today, is we had hard money lending for the acquisition and construction portion, but we still needed to raise the equity portion of the funds, right? So simultaneously, while I was deal hunting, I would go talk to a bunch of people, tell them about my plans, right? Tell them I'm already a real estate operator, right? Because I had already bought my multifamily, and kind of plant the seed to be able to raise the money. So once we were able to put that deal under contract, we had a contact that seemed interested. We were able to raise the money, bring him in, and get the deal done that way. Now, that was how I did it, and I ended up doing a lot more work too, right? I ended up doing a lot of the legwork, being on site, getting deliveries, making phone calls to different suppliers and vendors, etc. But that's how I did it, and that kind of, even though that project was nowhere near my most successful one, very far from it, I ended up learning a ton. So with all that being said, if you're someone that's now, in my position today, what would you do in order to break into your deal? Well, as you kind of saw from my story, I think there's 3 general pillars of value that go into a development deal at a high level, right? There's the deal, right? Actually finding the deal. There's building it, right? The builder, the general contractor, whoever's managing all that. And then there's the private money aspect, right? The capital aspect of it. Who's bringing the debt? Who's bringing the equity? How are you structuring all this, right? So that's your 3 generally high-level buckets, right? Finding the deal, building it, and the private and the capital side of it. So if you're someone that's brand new, let's assume that you are me and not like a builder or general contractor, right? So that's not something that's not necessarily in your forte or that you really even have any experience in, then you can't really provide value in that bucket. So the bucket that I would spend most of my time is actually finding the deal. So what would you do in order to find the deal? Well, I would do exactly what I did way back in the day, right? I would basically hit every single avenue I could, right? I would do cold calls, door knocking, mailers, and really try to figure out a way to find the right off-market deal so I could go present it to a developer that I would go meet at a networking event, right? And one thing I will say is don't go looking at MLS deals and, go pitch that to the developer, right? Because, if someone did that to me today and, they found a deal on MLS, they're like, Lior, let's go tackle this deal. I'm like, you're not really providing me that much value, right? I probably saw that deal and either liked it or didn't like it for whatever reason, right? So don't go looking at MLS deals. You need to provide true value, right? And that's deal flow, and that's finding off-market deals that no one has access to. So that would probably be the main avenue I would really go after it. Now, other tips in terms of finding deals, I would go talk to whatever developer you're talking to, try to get a rough sense of things like construction costs, right? So that you can start to underwrite the deal and know the price points, right? So, again, you don't have to go crazy, but just be like, hey, Mr. Developer, what do you think it's gonna cost on a per foot basis or on a per unit basis or however basis you wanna do your numbers at? If someone asked me, I would tell them, hey man, go underwrite your deals at 150 per square foot if we're gonna go gut rehab them, right? Or whatever the scenario might be. So you wanna be able to get those numbers so that you can start to also do deal analysis simultaneously while you're hunting for the actual deal. The second thing too I would do at the same time, almost identical to what I did, is you're probably also going to want to provide some value on the private capital side, right? Because if you're just going to be finding the deal, yeah, maybe you can kind of finagle your way into the deal, but you're kind of really just acting like a broker or a wholesaler, right? So if you really want to provide true value and really get into your development deal, then you're also going to want to think about how am I going to get into the private capital side, right? Because that is a big portion of this business. So you're gonna wanna talk to people, right? Whether it's people in your network, family, friends, whatever it is, and be like, hey, I'm trying to break into my first development deal. I'm gonna be partnering with this experienced developer, and you wanna make sure to leverage this developer's resume. That's exactly what I did when I was pitching, right? I said, hey, it's not like I have the track record, but I'm gonna be working with someone that, has done a ton of these, does these every day, and we're gonna crush it, right? So you wanna be doing the similar thing where you go start talking to people, trying to see where can I get access to capital, right? Private capital, that will be eventually be used to finance the development deal that you find, right? So again, I would start with number one priority is deal flow, right? That's most developers' problems today, especially today in 2024. I mean, the market is insanely competitive. Deal flow has been really, really tight. So deal flow is definitely value pillar number one. Then value pillar number two is also starting to work on the private capital side. That's what I would do. And if you do those things and you go up to a developer, right? Most developers, unless for whatever reason, they're too busy already or they just don't want to work with new people, chances are they'll probably work with you, right? Like if someone did that to me and brought me a deal, brought me some capital, and maybe I just have to raise a little bit of it, and we could go in and go do the deal, and they would learn from me, and I would, for me it's another deal that I could do. I would say that's a pretty solid trade-off, right? So that's how I would approach it. Hopefully this is helpful. So if you're someone that's brand new, please take this, take these action steps. I think that's been definitely a key point of my success today. So hopefully that's helpful, guys. Hopefully, this points you in the right direction. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments below, and I will definitely help you